Let me bring in someone else not on the short list to be chief of staff, former White House aide Omarosa Manigault-Newman. She is also the author of Unhinged, an insider's account of the Trump White House. Safe to say, my friend, that there's no love lost between you and the outgoing chief of staff, John Kelly. You shared that secret audio recording of Kelly showing you the door last year. Did you think that he would be headed for the exit so soon?
Well, I knew that his relationship between Donald Trump and Chief Kelly was really, really deteriorating. But one of the things that was completely unexpected, because Chief Kelly stressed in all of our senior staff meetings, if you were departing, let's make sure that we do it in a very orderly way. This was not an orderly departure. And in fact, Donald Trump really likes to kind of push people out in a way that they kind of leave damaged. And this is what happened to General Kelly, who had a very distinguished career before joining the White House staff.
How do you think that Kelly's departure is going to impact the administration, day-to-day operations, and maybe even long-term?
Well, I think that it'll have a big impact. I mean, one of the things that everyone touts is that he came in to create order, although I must say that some of the craziest things that have happened in the last 6 months under his tenure. I think that what we'll have to look for is Trump himself. Everybody's tried to reel him in and tame him, but I think that he will become even more unraveled as he continues to look for people and they continue to turn him down. He does not like being rejected. Look for him to throw a curveball candidate in, although everybody's throwing out names like Mulvaney, someone I served with, or Mnuchin, or even Bossie, who I work with on the campaign. Look for Trump to throw out some surprises as well. He likes to do that.
Curveball like whom? Like someone from the business sector?
Like a woman. I was talking to a former colleague who said that Trump was looking for a potential woman to serve so that there could be the first woman chief of staff in the history of the White House. And so that's the kind of things that Trump likes to do in this theater, that he has turned the White House into this crazy reality show.
Is there a woman in the orbit right now that comes to mind, top of the list?
I have, since I heard that rumor, I've tried to think of who would actually do that. I will tell you who I would like to see. And, she serves in the cabinet right now, and that's Linda McMahon. I mean, she is tough as nails. She has a lot of insight, and she gets on with the president very well. So as we hear this rumor about him wanting to throw a curveball and change the narrative about people rejecting him for this position, look for him to throw a curveball right back at us.
I want to remind our viewers and listeners on Sirius Satellite Radio that when the White House insider penned that anonymous op-ed for the New York Times in September trashing the president, this is what Omarosa said.
By the way, who do you think wrote the op-ed?
I think it's somebody out of Pence's office, and I suspect it might be Nick Ayers.
All right, so then there was Nick Ayers reportedly replacing Kelly. All of a sudden, the deal is off. What's your theory there? What happened?
You know how I feel about Nick Ayers. I think that he is playing the long game. Why serve as Trump's chief of staff when he thinks he can wait and serve as President Pence's chief of staff? He's playing the long game. Also, why be tied down to Trump when he makes most of his money during campaigns? And with the biggest campaign coming up, he wants to have himself free. But I think the long game is really Nick Ayers' focus. He expects that Pence will become president. I've said that for a very long time. I said that during the op-ed speculation. Nick Ayers knows exactly what he's doing, and being Donald Trump's chief of staff is not in his plans.
I want to also remind folks what the president said in the past about chiefs of staff and turnover. This is back in 2012. Donald Trump, then a private citizen, tweeting this about then President Barack Obama. 3 chiefs of staff in less than 3 years of being president. Part of the reason why Barack Obama can't manage to pass his agenda. President Trump is going to beat that record in just 2 years. Does it matter, Omarosa? Does President Trump even need a chief of staff?
Well, let's not forget that it was Jimmy Carter who said, I'm not going to have a chief of staff. And in fact, he didn't have a chief of staff, I believe, for a year and a half. And so it's not mandated by the law. But if there's one person that needs someone to oversee his schedule, to pull the staff together, to look at what's happening on the Hill, to focus on the overall agenda, that's Donald Trump, because he's all over the place and at times unhinged. And he needs somebody who can pull it all together and run the White House in an orderly way. So I hope he doesn't go the way that Carter did in not having a chief of staff.
General Kelly's crowning achievement, what do you think it is?
I think that one of his achievements, I think for a very short amount of time, was that he was able to kind of bring some type of stability. People on the Hill felt very comfortable with him there. But the one thing that he lacked was understanding Donald Trump. He had a complete lack of understanding of how Trump worked and how very, very, shaky he could be, mercurial he could be, volatile he could be. And he failed at getting an understanding and brokering a true relationship with him. And he also had some big issues like the Rob Porter issue, where he stood by Rob Porter when he was accused of domestic violence, when he attacked Representative Wilson, when he went after people who he thought were causing Trump to actually break down, but they were actually providing emotional comfort for Donald Trump. For instance, Keith Schilling, who he got rid of very early. And so I think his lack of understanding of Trump and Trump world was one of his greatest downfalls. But for a very short amount of time, he brought order into the White House.
Well, Marusa Manigault Newman, always good to have your insight and your perspective. Thank you. Also, author, of course, of the best-selling book. There it is, Unhinged.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.